On November 17, as you most likely already know, it became known that Biden finally gave Ukraine permission to launch strikes with U.S. long-range weapons on Russian territory. And of course, Putin didn't let this go unheeded. On Thursday, November 21, the news that Russia had struck the Ukrainian city of Dnipro, allegedly with an intercontinental ballistic missile, swept the world. After that, all social networks were flooded with people's opinions that World War III is coming very soon. Today, I want to explain to you why Russia does not have the largest arsenal of nuclear weapons in the world. And why Putin will never push that red button. Have a seat, it's time to talk. First of all, we should find out how many nuclear weapons Russia has. It is quite difficult to answer this question, but if we decide to enter this question into a search engine, we will get that Russia has 5,580 nuclear weapons, but is it true? The fact is that the provision and modernization of a nuclear complex, especially such a large one, requires huge expenditures. Russia's finances are not so good. In 2024, Russia ranks only 11th in the world's top economies, which is still not bad, but not enough to support such a large nuclear arsenal, so we can conclude that Russia may well have far fewer operational nuclear weapons than everyone thinks. In support of this theory, I have articles that say that the US spends far more money to keep its nuclear complex on alert, yet everyone claims that America still has fewer atomic weapons than Russia. Yes, Russia may well have 5,580 nuclear weapons in its arsenal, but the question, are all these weapons operational, remains open. Taking into account all of the above, it is hard to believe that Russia really has the largest, and what is not insignificant operating nuclear arsenal in the world. By the way, if you have an opinion on this topic, you can express it in the comments below this video. The most interesting and constructive comments I will like and maybe even insert into one of the next videos. But why would Russia hide how many active nuclear weapons it actually has? Russia has a long history of strategic deception in military affairs. Exaggerating the size and readiness of its nuclear arsenal can serve to deter adversaries without the need for full operational capability. Russia benefits from being perceived as a nuclear superpower, regardless of the exact number of operational weapons. In the war with Ukraine, Russia has exhausted all of its military reserves, so the only thing Putin can still scare the West with is the threat of a nuclear strike. Such threats work especially well on ordinary people, who are often quite ignorant about politics and nuclear weapons. A recent example of this is people's anxiety after Joe Biden authorized long-range U.S. strikes on Russian territory. As I said at the beginning of the video, Putin decided to respond to this authorization by striking a Ukrainian city with an intercontinental ballistic missile. All the media immediately picked up on this news, and people, because of their illiteracy on the subject of nuclear weapons, began to consider this attack almost an atomic weapon strike, although it was not at all. Moreover, this new missile, which was later called Orshnik, is not as deadly and effective as everyone thought. I'm going to talk more about this in one of my next videos. If you're watching this video when it's already out, you'll see a hint at the top. Be sure to click on it. Ukraine has stepped over the red lines drawn by Putin more than once. Recently, Putin even changed Russia's nuclear doctrine. One of the most important changes is that Russia reserves the right to use atomic weapons in case of a critical threat to the sovereignty or territorial integrity of the state. Previously, this condition was a threat to the existence of the state. Except that since August this year, Ukraine has been holding a small part of the Kursk region, which the whole world considers to be Russian territory. Also, we should not forget that on September 30, 2022, Putin signed accession treaties stating that the Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporizhzhia and Kherson regions of Ukraine are now part of the Russian Federation. So, according to the Kremlin's logic, it turns out that Ukraine has held Russian territory for a little over 2 years now. But has Russia used the nuclear weapons it scares everyone with? No, and it will not. Putin is well aware of what could happen if he does push the red button. A nuclear strike is Russian roulette. You don't know what you will get. The West can respond to such a strike in any way it wants, up to and including an invasion of Russian territory. If, God forbid, there is a direct conflict between NATO and Russia, it is obvious that Russia cannot win such a battle. NATO has far more resources, both human and financial. In terms of population, the North Atlantic Alliance beats Russia 6.5 times, and in terms of GDP 24 times. And if we take into account what I said earlier, it is possible that Russia loses to the West in the number of nuclear weapons. Plus, you have to remember that Russia has depleted its stockpiles in a couple of years of war with Ukraine alone. This year, Russia spent about 40% of federal spending on defense, which is almost half of the entire country's budget. This is the highest level since the collapse of the USSR. As for human losses, the death toll on the Russian side could range from 120,506 to 174,064. In short, a nuclear strike could amount to a death sentence for Putin. It is unlikely that Putin wants to lose his life. Fortunately, we will likely never know what would have happened if Putin did press that very red button. Although, only God knows what's in his head. In any case, only time will tell how all this will end. While we wait for the possible end of the world, you can watch my other videos. For example, I have a video about a country where time is frozen, and a video about how Ukraine will lose the war with Russia. I advise you to watch it.